Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of Grow Your Path to Wellness. If you missed it, you definitely want to go back and watch last week because we sat down and we talked with Rebecca Ray all on the topic of intimate partner betrayal. We differentiated between infidelity and like sex addiction, and it was such a good, enlightening episode. So if you missed that, make sure you go back and tune in. And this week we have Stef Schiefer with us. And so today we're going to be talking about the beauty of books. So welcome, Stef. If you don't mind, give our community a quick introduction, maybe your background, your current roles, and just a little bit about you.
All right. Hi. I am Stef. I am currently a librarian, an elementary librarian.
Of course you are.
It took me a long time to get there, but I am here now. My background basically is K through 4 education, and then I have my librarian cert, K through 12. So I'm very excited, even though it's been a crazy year, to finally have my own library and, read all of the books and help the kids read all of the books and just keep on keeping on.
Oh my gosh, I love this. So I know I'm supposed to ask you why the topic, but I mean, I feel like I can assume, but for the listeners, can you explain more than just like, I'm a librarian, but why the topic that you brought to us today for the beauty of books?
So the beauty of books, reading is my passion, one of my passions. I love to read. I challenge myself to read, every year. I set a certain goal for myself. I come from a long line of readers. My mom is a very good reader, and my grandfather is 90, and he still goes to the library every, other week and picks out a couple of books. So it's kind of in my blood, but it's definitely a passion of mine to just read and get all that I can out of it.
Amanda just went to the library today.
I know. I was so happy.
I think I'm going tomorrow, so I'm going to try to go tomorrow.
All the faith. You got this.
Stef, I just have to say I'm so proud of you because I was with you. Not with you, but from a distance, watched your journey in the past year, and you finally get librarian, and it's just so well deserved, and you're the perfect person for that. And the title, The Beauty of Books, I kind of came up with because when I think of Stef, I think of Beauty and the Beast.
Oh.
And maybe she can tell you a little bit more about that, but I think of Beauty and the Beast, so that was why it just made more sense for The Beauty of Books, that being one of her favorites. But Stef, in all seriousness, I'm so glad that you're here to talk to us about why books are important for our wellness and overall wellness. How has reading supported you in your own wellness and mental health, and how has it been beneficial to you in general?
Well, there are, many benefits of reading. Personally, it just helps me kind of take a step back, and, you hear a lot about self-care, and we talk about self-care a lot and how that looks different for, all kinds of people. For me, I'll sit down and I'll read a book, and, I can kind of take a vacation, especially, in this past year, being stuck in the house all the time. You kind of open a book and you're able to go wherever you want. So it definitely helps me, just kind of relax, take a step back, get away for a little bit. If I'm stressed out or there's so much going on, I want to focus on this person's life in the book, not my own right now, So that's where it helps me for sure. It can help others by, aiding sleep. If you have a hard time falling asleep. They say if you read just 15, 20 minutes at night, it can help you relax and go to sleep. It reduces your stress, again, just by slowing down, you know. You need to concentrate on the storyline and the words and what's going on. So it can definitely help, with anxiety or depression even, to, again, take that road of somebody else's and kind of see their path.
I read every night before bed, and I've done that. It was something that I told myself that I wanted to start doing again, because it was weird. When I was in school, I kind of got away from pleasure reading, like college and stuff. And then after college, I was like, what do I do with my hands? And then I was like, oh, I really loved reading, so much. And I was like, I think I'm gonna get back to it. And then with this past year, like you said, with all of the screen time and stuff, I'm proud of myself. Every night before bed, even if it's literally just a chapter between putting my phone down, if Amanda and I don't get sucked into TikTok together. And I still put my phone down and I still read at least one chapter or more every single night before bed.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I am envious of that. I want to do that. I try to read every day, but I don't know if I do it right before bed.
I have a little light on my table that my husband got me for Christmas, and because he knew that I wanted to start reading more, Amanda's husband got stuff that she was wanting more for Christmas. And I can tell the difference that it's not even just for sounds so weird to say out loud, but my face. It's just relaxing for my eyeballs, everything. And then it transitioned from my day to sleep.
Absolutely. I mean, we are all so stuck in, technology. It's the way of 2021, and it was the way of 2020, and it will continue. But to be able to take, like I said, that step back and unplug and really just focus on something else that's not the TV, or that's not your phone, or not TikTok. You still have that option. It's out there.
And I'll say, I had a similar experience to Kelsi. Grad school just killed reading for me, just destroyed it. And then also mental health and stress and all the things that take us away from our creativity and our imagination and the world. When you become an adult, the world tries to almost suck you in to its toxicity.
Of the creativity.
Yeah, you should be doing, and you need, so the technology is almost an escape and an addiction because we're not getting outside of that. And so once I started doing my own healing and really focusing on daily mindfulness and my own inner child healing and all that stuff, it's starting to I want to. I was I want to go. Oh my God, I want to get a library card. I could do that. I didn't even realize I could do that. I haven't done that since a child. Oh my gosh, I want to go to the library and just wander around and mosey around like I used to when I was a kid. My mom would take us to the library and we'd spend hours there, reading, looking for books, doing whatever activities they had there. So I think that's important to note for our listeners too, because I know we have a large mental health community, that it's okay that you can't concentrate. When you're in really bad depressive episodes, you're not going to be able to concentrate on reading, and that's okay. Or for some people, having a really bad depressive episode, all you can do is read. And that almost becomes an avoidance, right? So when you're unwell in any kind of way, it's definitely hard to get into those hobbies and activities, but you'll get there. That's the excited part of healing, is that you will reconnect with the things you love. So I just had to point that out. And I had another thought when you were talking about escaping into your own world and being in that character's world. And then, Kelsi kind of said something similar at nighttime. One thing I don't think we planned to talk about was the different genres of books. And I'm sorry to throw you on the, just throw it out there without prepping you, but Steph, is that okay? Can we kind of mention that too? Because I think a lot of people don't realize how many different options there are for their unique interests.
Absolutely. I mean, I tell my kids all the time, elementary school is is you think, kids love books. And absolutely, the little ones, they do. But then we start getting to like the 4th, the 5th, the 6th grade, the middle grades, and they're like, reading's not cool anymore. And I get that. There's been times where I haven't read grad school or even in middle school. I wasn't a big reader. But I tell them, if you don't think you're a reader, you haven't found the right book yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is millions and millions and millions of different topics, categories, genres. I mean, between self-help, there's self-help books. There's different textbooks, So even when you're saying that you weren't reading during grad school, you were. It was just a different kind of reading. And so it was still, giving your brain that different break than technology all the time. There is, nonfiction books. There are biographies on people that you might idolize or that you just want to learn more about. There are mysteries, of course. There you go. There are mysteries, and there are, young adult fiction. There's kids books. Even if you're reading like kids books, even if you're browsing and you're like, oh, that's fun. Like, I want to check it out. Because maybe if you don't have kids, or maybe if you don't work with kids, I'm sure you know a kid who that could connect with, right? And that's a connection you're making through reading. There are, I don't know, just so many different genres.
I got stuck. Like, I was looking at one of the shelves and I was really into these titles. And then I looked at the label and they were all sci-fi. And I was like, sci-fi? Like, what?
Yeah.
Cool.
People always say, like, don't judge a book by its cover. But really, like, honestly, I've been there where I'll walk through the bookstore or I'll walk through the library and something catches my eye visually and I'll pick it up. And I won't even read anything on it. I'll just start reading that book. And if it sticks, it sticks. Great. I can, plow through it in a day or two. And some books take me months. I mean, but it's okay. There's no time limit on it. You're
really
able
like that you said that.
go at your own pace. Yeah.
And I like that you said that you don't read the description. If you like how it looks, you just start reading. Because I think that's where I talk myself out of them. I just did it today. Right?
Yeah.
I was looking at the like cover.
Perhaps.
Yeah, the name drew me, the color drew me, the pictures, the title, the author, all that. And then I see sci-fi and I'm like, ooh. And then I started to read the thing and I was like, I don't know. And then I put it back, but I should have just given myself the opportunity and started reading. That's a really good point.
Absolutely.
I just had a client today, this individual, confidentiality, but today we're talking about how we get a lot of expectations on it. Like, especially if it's something we're picking back up again, it's like you hear that narrative of, I used to read this fast, or I used to read this many books, and I don't now. And, and today I literally had that conversation with one of my clients earlier today. Like, but what's it do for you now?
Exactly. And I mean, you can pick up those books that you are used to, and maybe they don't fit you anymore.
Right.
Or like rereading. I tell my kids all the time, a good reader rereads, whether it's a paper you're writing, a blog, a text message, or a book. I mean, I have read a handful of books numerous times throughout my life because I am different. So the way I perceive that story is different. So it's a different, experience each time.
Now I need to go back and reread all of my Harry Potter books, guys.
See? There you go. Absolutely.
I've heard similar things from people with like the Bible and how when they've read it like as children in school and then, I'm not promoting any religion. I'm just saying I've heard the same exact thing that you just said about everyday books with spiritual books. And I was like, that made so much sense to me with a spirituality book or even like a mindfulness book or things like that, where they've read it over and over at different points in their lives. And now it means something different every time, or they find something that stands out to them that didn't before. I would have never thought to do that with regular books.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been saying absolutely a lot. I need to think of another word. Because reading is supposed to broaden your vocabulary and broaden your imagination, your empathy, your focus skills. There are so many benefits. And I mean, don't get me wrong, okay? I love my physical books. That is my jam. But I'm not going to say, don't listen to an audiobook or don't read, your Kindle. Is it a great escape? Absolutely, from that screen time with a physical book. But even if you're just trying to get back into it, everyone is a different learner. So, if you need to listen to it on the way to school or on the way to work or, before you fall asleep through an audiobook, that is you. Or even if you want to take the time to write your own story. I tell that to my kids a lot too. Like, I can't find a book that interests me. Okay, well, tell me, come up with your own. And
like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, there are many different, ways to pick up reading again, whether it's audio or on the internet or, a physical book. And the library is free, right? You get your library card. A lot of people are stressed about money. Amanda, how much did it, cost you to go to the library today?
A meal at Chipotle.
Exactly. So, the beauty of books.
Something that just came to my mind as you were saying about the different types is, I think as I'm evolving and growing, I said something to Tommy, my husband, the other day. I said, I read, that's what it was. Kelsi knows. Speaking of writing your own story, one of confidentiality, my clients has gotten so healed, so beautiful. They started writing their own book. They started writing a story, and it's such a fun, creative, awesome story. So I read it after a session and I was reading it, and I found myself reading it out loud. And I told them, I said, I read it out loud to my animals. And then I thought about that. When I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do at night with my mom, or in the evening, not even like at bedtime, but at bedtime too, was to sit and read together and go back and forth. Like we would switch pages and, I'd read one page, then she'd read the next page. And I think that's why I have a hard time now, and I'll blame it on college too for all the beautiful textbooks, but I have a hard time now just doing this because something doesn't register for me because I was so used to having the words read to me. So I think maybe my new thing, is to have a physical book, but listen to the audio book.
At the same time as following along, like you would, like you did as a kid to mom reading out loud or yourself. But
yeah, and Amanda and I have been talking for about a year now, so we've gotten to know each other. But even when she's looking for things for her clients or to continue her education as she's reading, she's like, you know what? This book works for me because the font is, only in a paragraph here or there. And there are books like that. There are books written in prose and where it's real short and that's a chapter. So there are so many opportunities out there and you just have to find your own style.
Okay. I love this stuff. And so I heard, I love it was Amanda or you, Steph, somebody had mentioned those people that have a hard time sitting down to read or kind of re-engaging themselves with reading, do you have any like more detailed or more specific tips for those? I know that's kind of two different pieces. For those who struggle with like feeling like sitting down and concentrating to read, and those wanting to like re-engage and pick up reading again.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched based on it already a little bit, but I don't know. When I think of people who are like, I have such a hard time to just sit down and read. I get that and I can understand that. But at the same time, people ask me, when do you find time to read? Our lives are so busy. Absolutely, they are. But when you're sitting down to binge a TV show on Netflix,
Yeah.
I take that time and I open a book. And, again, if it's a chapter, it's a chapter. If it's half the book, it's half the book. Like I'm binging my book. So I'm taking that time, away from the screen and reading. When it gets nicer out, I would suggest going to read at a park, sitting on a bench by yourself, like people do when they meditate.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of when you're taking that step back and breathing and relaxing, say, okay, now let me try. Again, you don't have to do it, tomorrow. It can be a process, getting back into it like anything else.
I hear you. Like that hits me, and like, okay, to throw our expectations out the window, and also just like, it's like you be easy on yourself, but you're also like, okay, it makes you reevaluate like what are my priorities for my time? What has been taking up a lot of my time? It's like, okay, if I'm saying I want to do this, just like making any change, and we've talked about that before, but I don't think we've ever applied it to like something like reading. It's like usually it has to be something very goal focused, achievement focused, and with reading, it's not about that.
That's what I was thinking too. Steph said, when people say I can't find the time, and all that kept coming to mind as the replacement thought was, you're not making the time. You're not making the time. There's always time. It's what you're choosing to focus that time on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And there was another part that I just lost. Oh, intention. Kelsi talks about intention all the time. So like setting your intention, that kind of goes with the expectation thing. Setting your intention from the beginning. Like, okay, if I'm sitting here saying I'm not reading enough, that's a negative self-talk that's not helping me get where I'm going. I want to start reading more. That's a little better. I want to read today, right? And just saying I'm going to read as long as I feel like it, or I'm going to read until my body tells me to stop. Not I have to read 2 chapters or this was a waste of time.
And too, on that note, like accountability and things like that, book clubs. We've had a couple in our group, and so just so we can talk to each other about it and see others' opinions on the same story, or but that accountability piece is there too. Like, oh hey, let's try to read the chapter by the end of the week, or let's try to finish the book by the end of the month. Like, yes, we're all busy, but we can try. And for me, I mean, like, I jump on it. Absolutely. Let's go. Let's read. And I'm like, okay, guys, did you read today? Did you read today? Like, I get so excited about it, and it's contagious. I'm smiling, you're smiling. It's contagious. So I try to spread my love and my enthusiasm for reading in any way. So.
Mm-hmm. I think nowadays, we go to the internet for so much. I feel like, and I catch myself really forgetting like what a hub a library can be, and very often is, for communities. Like everything from like the bulletin board to like actual events and things that they put on. And whenever I say that, people are like, oh yeah, I did used to do that stuff. When I'm like, it's still there. Like,
yeah, exactly.
community events, so many things you can find information about at the library. Like, so probably book clubs and.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, even if you are like, where do I find a book club? Or like the book club that my library, the book that the book club at my library is reading, I'm not interested in. Like, do you have friends?
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, like our friends that, do you have
Yeah.
friends that might have the same interest? Or like, like I have colleagues I work with and I'm like, oh yeah, I need accountability to read that book. Maybe we should just like read it together. It could just be you and another person.
Right.
But yeah, the library thing. I got my library card recently because of a colleague telling me, like, they talked to, they recommend it to clients all the time to get free books. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I do that too. But like, I'm also a human that pays taxes and I could also go to the library.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
such a disconnect in nowadays in the world that we're living in, like with all the tech and with the internet being right at our fingertips. I feel like we don't think about going into like a brick and mortar place very often, like a library.
Right. And I mean, too, there is, with the past year and with, all the restrictions, it's been hard.
True.
And with the way of the world, technology taking over, people look at me sometimes and they're like, wait, you're a librarian? They still have those? Yeah, they do. But they still have, Barnes and Noble or Amazon. I mean, you can find books on Amazon just by typing in a category, books about, boom, and it's there. So we can use the internet to our benefit to find these books. And again, too, like you might find an audiobook, you might find a PDF of it that you can read on a Kindle or your laptop, or there's
You can look online with your library card at your library's books.
Yeah.
And you can sort through those and kind of favorite them. I'm relearning, so I have to share all these things. But it's so cool what you can do now. And you can hold books online and you can rent them. And like you said, if it's an audiobook or an ebook, you can just listen right then and there or read right then and there. These things are at our fingertips.
It's like reading is reading is reading. Like you're still taking in that information and getting the same benefits from it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on the topic of like, was it Kelsi? I don't know. No, Stef. At some point o'clock, somebody said something about going outside and reading. Yeah, Stef did, right? Going to your park and reading like you would meditate. I've even just noticed I need to physically separate myself, again, the intention, and go find a place that doesn't have my computer. Go put my phone on charge in another room. And I've noticed that I'm starting to gravitate toward like sitting by a window because there's light, right? So I think it's about your environment too, because it's very easy for me personally, if my phone is sitting next to me and I have a book open, for me to read 4 sentences and then look at my phone and see I have notifications, and then 20 minutes later the book's over here and I've read 4 sentences and I've just been sucked into TikTok for 20 minutes, or Marco Polo or Facebook or Instagram or whatever the other social medias are. So
yeah, it's intention, absolutely. I just put my phone on silent. I mean, I've been reading now so that, my boyfriend can be watching TV at like a max volume.
Okay.
And he's doing his thing and I'm on the couch reading my book. It's just the way it is. Like, you
I don't know
gotta
how you
make that
focus.
attention for yourself.
Right.
Steph, we could talk all day about books, apparently. And I could talk to you all day. Okay. What we always ask our I was going to say listeners, audience, we always ask our guests if there's anything you want to leave our audience with. Any quotes, any mantras, anything like that.
I'm going to say The Love of Knowledge is a Kind of Madness by C.S. Lewis. Is a very, quote, a powerful quote that resonates with me, because as long as you are reading, you are learning. So, and that kind of, it's a madness. You get sucked in, you get addicted, you broaden your imagination, your mind, the possibilities are endless. And that's kind of crazy. So
it feels like such a cliche, but it's one of those cliches that's so true. And they wouldn't be cliches for no reason. Like it's like the madness piece hit me in the way of like, if you just start, and then like all of these different things that kind of come about as a result of just starting or getting back into it, or we're trying different. Now this makes me want to go, when I go to the library tomorrow, I want to try a new genre, I think. I'm gonna try a new one.
Yeah.
But I'm similar to Amanda's experience, but I'm just gonna
just pick the book that's like calls
that
you.
Speaks to you, yeah.
Yes.
It's okay to judge the book by its cover.
Yes, absolutely.
I had to Google it, Steph, because the quote that you shared when I was at the library today, they had a quote at the circulation desk when I was checking out, and it was a Roald Dahl quote. And it wasn't the full quote, but it was the end of it, and it was, "Those who don't believe in magic will never find it."
I love it.
We're both like, ooh.
The full quote, if you want it, is magic, or it's called Magic, and it says, "And above all, watch with glittering eyes the whole world around you, because the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it."
I love it. I love it.
And I just felt like it was so like it universal alignment. I just felt like it was so connected to the quote you shared, so I had to share it. But it's so true. If you don't give yourself the opportunity, you never know what you're missing out on.
Yes.
I get chills in like every episode, no matter what the topic is, because the connection, and that's what books do too. They connect you. We talked to Nicole about music and how that connects people, and it's just good stuff.
So many different ways of connecting with ourselves and with just different things separate from ourselves, but in a mindful way.
Absolutely.
Steph, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, we said it at the same time. Yes, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You.
If there's ever, well, I guess I don't know if that's like ethical or appropriate or okay without their permission. But if there's ever like books that you want to come on and specifically like review, people review books.
Yeah, it's a book talk.
Yeah, like specific like books that you want to review as far as like wellness, mental health related ones, or imagination and creativity. That'd be a cool episode to have. I didn't even think about something like that. But you're welcome back. Or any other topic that's not books that you're passionate about too, because your whole life is not being a librarian.
That is true. It's pretty high up there though. So.
It is. Well, thanks again. Everyone, to make sure you tune in next week, because it's going to be the very first episode of hubby's new series. I almost called it a season because I was thinking about football because of the name. Man Down, our men's mental health series. It will be him and Rico, who they're good buddies, and they're just going to open up and talk about their mental health experiences in life. Real talk, mental health talk, and I'm super excited about that. So make sure, as always, you like, comment. If you don't subscribe, you won't know when the next episode's coming out. Leave us any feedback you want on today's video about, our talk about books or any questions you have, and then we will make sure we get an answer for you through Stef. And we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.